I have a question for you. Why are you waiting for life to happen to you? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for a sign, divine intervention, for the right moment, the right person, the perfect universe, for things to align for you? Is that what you're waiting for? Let's talk about it. I feel like many of us nowadays are just living and waiting for things to happen to us. We're waiting for the perfect moment to arrive in order for us to achieve our dreams, to be our real selves, to be our authentic selves. We seem to be waiting for a push or a moment that is supposed to change the course of our lives forever. They're supposed to make us better than we are right now. And then we look at other people and we compare ourselves to them and we think, why not me? Why not us? Why is this not happening to me? Why does life seem to be happening perfectly for that person? That girl is so lucky. She's beautiful. She has everything. She has a dream life. That guy is so amazing. Look at him. He's a go-getter. He's doing everything that he wants. Why can't I be that way? Why can't you be that way? Let's dive deeper into this. There are a couple of reasons why we might be living this way. The first reason is due to your upbringing. So you might have grown up in an environment where your parents or the adults in your life lived their lives waiting for things to happen to them. They just went through the motions because that's what society had told them that they had to do. Go to school, go to work, come back home, have a family, go to bed, repeat. They weren't able to teach you how, or rather to show you how to decide for yourself, how to be an active participant in your own life, how to make your own decisions for your own self. I definitely went through that. I definitely had parents who just went through the motions, not because that's what they wanted to do, to be honest. I think that they just didn't question the status quo. The status quo. They didn't question how things were. They just went along with what their parents had laid down for them. And so we, or you, if you had a similar upbringing, you also are repeating that generational cycle. That's just how it is. That's just how it was meant to be. So I'm just repeating exactly the same thing. We see this happening in so many different facets of life. People would just repeat what their parents have done. Another reason why you might be waiting for life to happen to you could be due to limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs can take several shapes and forms. It can be religion. It can be personal philosophy. Let's look at religion for a moment. So I grew up in a Christian religion. So as Christians, there's this very popular saying that is beaten into us and woven into our very being and existence, which says that good things happen to those who wait. Now, I think that there's a misinterpretation of that phrase because it's not just those who wait, but it's those who wait based on faith that is also based on action. Let me explain. So you are supposed to abide by certain rules in order to get to the promised land. Don't steal, love one another, no fornication before marriage. We know these things if you're a Christian. You are supposed to follow those rules. Those rules are actions. And based on those rules, if you have faith in those rules, then you will receive a reward. If you don't do those things, then you don't get the reward. So the next reason why you might be waiting is because of fear. Fear rules different parts of our lives. Many of our decisions are based on fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear that we don't belong, fear of being an imposter. But let me tell you something today. If you don't fear, then you're not human. If you don't fear, then you will not succeed because you wouldn't know the value of success. You wouldn't know what it means to live a more fulfilling life. Let's talk about what you're waiting for. Sometimes we are waiting for a person. We have this Messiah syndrome. We see it in so many different religions. We see it in so many different cultures. There is someone special who has been ordained by a divine hand to come and save us. And so we wait. There's someone who's going to come to tell me what to do. There's someone who's going to come to save me, to direct me, to direct my steps. Maybe that may be my parent, or it could be a sibling or a friend, or maybe a partner. We're waiting for that person. But what if that person is you? What if the person you're waiting for is your very self? And until you come to that self-realization, until you come to that self-awareness, you will never reach your goals. You will never be where you are meant to be. Another thing that we sometimes wait for is signs. We need something to tell us that, okay, this is the right moment. This is the right moment to take action. But signs are not always what we think they are. Signs are not always big and massive and in your face. Sometimes signs are very subtle. They're very little. They are the tiniest things. They're like a whisper, a feather, tickling your nose or tickling your neck. But if you are not aware, if you don't practice self-awareness, you will never see the signs. You will never know when it's the right time to take action. Sometimes it's about just listening to yourself, and sometimes it's about just actually noticing things that are happening and questioning things that are happening around you. When I was in my 20s, I was waiting for a Messiah and a sign. And that, for me, at the time, came in the form of this young man. So I met someone whom I fell deeply in love with. And I thought that he was going to save me, because I was going through a period in my life where I had no one around me to trust. I had nobody to go to. And I thought this was the person. Finally, I had met my Messiah. He was a good guy. Okay. Was very nice, kind. He treated me very well, with respect and everything. We had a lot in common as well. I finally had met someone who was kind of like my intellectual match. So we could talk about different topics, different ideas, philosophy, science, the workings of the human mind. And I was so excited. I was like, yes, I finally found someone. But then I started to realize that this person didn't feel exactly the same way about the future, didn't feel exactly the same way about life in general as I did. He was going through his own stuff, he's going through his own messed up identity stuff. And I thought, yeah, okay, I just had to wait for him to get over his issues. I just had to wait for him to realize that I was here waiting for him. I just had to wait for him to be a better person. I just had to wait. And guess what? I waited for 6 years. I waited for 6 years while he treated me not necessarily bad, because that's the thing, we say, oh, but this person is not all bad, he has his good moments and he has his bad moments. But then this person wasn't taking me seriously enough. This person wasn't making plans based on both of us being together. This person was making plans for his own life without putting me into consideration at all. And it wasn't until I started realizing this for myself, okay, because I knew all along, when someone is taking you for a ride, but you deny it to yourself, you live in self-denial. I knew, but I was just in self-denial, like, okay, he's gonna come around. And I wasted 6 years of my young, fruitful life waiting for him, doing nothing. Okay, the only thing I did at the time was I was at school. I went to university. Thank God for that. But apart from that, I have nothing to show for those 6 years. I have nothing to show for those 6 years. Once I decided that enough it was enough, I wasn't waiting for him to save me anymore. I had to save myself. That was the only moment that I truly started to live for myself. Life stopped happening to me. I started happening to myself. I got out of that relationship and I started believing in myself, in my abilities, in my capabilities, in my dreams. And that's what has led me here today. Now, I don't completely regret going through that experience because it taught me a lot. I learned a lot from it. But I could have avoided it. I know that I could have avoided it but I didn't because I was waiting. Now, I'd like to make a distinction between waiting and patience, because sometimes we confuse those things. We think that, oh, I'm just being patient. You know, when I'm patient, then I'm going to get the best result. I'm going to get the best outcome. But waiting is passive stillness, hoping for an outcome that is not based on any initial action. On the other hand, patience is exercising self-discipline for an outcome that we have already set in motion, an outcome that we have already paved the way for. And now it's just about waiting for the result. So we have to be able to discern between when we are waiting without basis, when we are waiting just because we don't know, and sometimes we don't know, sometimes we actually do. Okay? We have to be able to discern between senseless waiting and patient waiting. So let's talk about how to stop waiting for life to happen to you and start living life itself in the moment. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is practice self-awareness, self-realization. Self-realization is the moment that you stop waiting and start realizing that you have been enough all along. That you can be the director of your own life. You can be the captain of your own ship. And how do you do that? You take out moments to curate your inner dialogue. Have conversations with yourself. In your mind, out loud, by writing it down, whatever feels right to you, whatever is easier for you to do. For me, it's mostly dialogues in my head. I talk to myself a lot. So I dialogue with myself. I ask myself deep questions because I can't be ashamed in my own self. That is wrong. That is self-denial. So I speak to my deeper innermost self and I talk about things that I regret, things that I find shameful, things that I will never, ever share with anybody. And I self-evaluate myself. And that's what you will have to do. You will have to find a way to practice self-realization. So maybe journaling, writing down your emotions, or just speaking to yourself, or a combination of both. You have to be self-aware. You have to be more aware of your abilities, of your capabilities, of your limitations as well, because that's another thing. There is no point in waiting for something to happen to you if you know that you cannot handle it. There is no point in waiting for success, millions and billions of dollars or pounds or euros, when you know that you are bad at finances. Because it's not going to solve anything. You're still going to be bad at money. If you know your limitations, then it becomes easier to set goals. The next thing is you have to train yourself to notice both subtle and obvious signs. So an example of an obvious sign could be, let's say you're making plans on moving to somewhere else, to move into a new place, a new city or a new country, but you're not sure whether you should or not, okay? And let's say you have applied for a job and you're waiting for a sign to say, okay, you should move. An obvious sign could be that you get the job, that you have all the conditions that you said you would like to have when you have that job. So maybe you've got great benefits, you're going to be living in a really good town, you're going to perhaps meet new people. That is your sign. Go. The thing is, you will never know if you never try. You don't want to wake up 5 years from now, 6 years from now, like I did, and realize that, oh my God, I just waited. I don't even know the outcome of that action. If you never started it, how can you know how it's going to end? So you have to notice the signs. Now, an example of a subtle sign could just be your mind returning to that decision over and over again. And rather than just, beating it up and down, like with questions like, oh, what if this happens? What if that bad thing happens? What if blah, blah, blah happens? Just ignore those things and go for it. Now, I'm not asking you to take risks that will put you in any form of danger, whether it be financial or physical, that will put your life in danger. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking you to just ignore any other warning signs that might be flashing at you and just make decisions, without thinking twice. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to weigh your options and to critically assess whether or not that thing's going to work out for you. I'm asking you to take charge of your own life and of your own decisions. Now, the next thing that you have to do to take your life back is that you have to start taking small actions. So if you want to have more people in your life because you feel lonely, take a step. You are never going to stop feeling lonely just because now I love myself. I'm my own best friend. No, we still have moments where we feel lonely. Okay. So take a step. Taking a step could mean learning a new skill. Taking a step could mean just, maybe getting a pet or something, get a dog, get a cat, but you have to take the first step. Do you want to feel more beautiful? What is it you think will make you feel more beautiful? Maybe losing weight? Okay, go out for a walk. Put on some makeup. You don't have to look like Kim Kardashian or anything. Just put on a little lip gloss or some, powder or whatever it is you think would make you feel just a little bit better. Do it in baby steps. That's how babies learn how to walk. That's how babies learn how to speak. They don't just wait until they are assured that they are going to be able to speak eloquently before they start speaking, right? So do the same. Take baby steps. Finally, you have to stop waiting for permission. You have to stop waiting for someone to tell you that, yes, that is right. And how do you do that? You just do it. You just move. Keep moving. Stop waiting for life to happen to you. Stop it, because you are not guaranteed what is going to happen in the future. You are not guaranteed what's going to happen after this life. So why not live this life now? So my challenge to you today is start something new this week. This week is not over. Don't wait for next week to start. Start something new and let me know in the comments if you do. Until the next video, I hope that you stop waiting for life to happen to you and start living now. I'm Isabella, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.